Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
If you're wondering about what you can do if you find yourself in an FCPA compliance action, check out the FCPA Survival Guide. It's my latest book. It's sponsored by Ethico, and in it, I take up and write the top 10 things you can do to reduce your overall fine and penalty if you find yourself in an FCPA enforcement action. So check out the FCPA Survival Guide. The Daily Compliance News for February 3, 2025, the Division of Engagement and Compliance Edition. And we begin with that story from Channel 12 WBOY, first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News, that reports that West Virginia University is restructuring some of its divisions at the university to comply with the state mandate on DEI. DEI has been closed, and a new unit at the WVU division at West Virginia is entitled Division of Campus Engagement and Compliance, and will focus on ensuring the university adheres to state and federal guidance fulfilling the needs of the campus community, including compliance with Title IX and the Americans with Disability Act. Well done, West Virginia. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, Nvidia chip flow to China should be throttled, post DeepSeek, says U.S. lawmakers. Nvidia's sale of chips to Singapore, which made their way to China and DeepSeek, has raised the hackles and ires of Congress, which says that Nvidia needs to fulfill its obligations under U.S. export controls. Some have argued that export controls does not mean that controls are ineffective, but that they should be more frequently updated. Whichever way it is, there's pretty clearly a open gap that China exploited to get Nvidia chips to allow them to make DeepSeek and bring it on the market. Next up from Cosmos, an article by Paul Zeitzman and Louis Perot, 2 well-known compliance professionals originally from South Africa. Paul's now in Dubai. But they propose a CCO departure bonus, which would allow CCOs to resign loudly if a company makes a decision that they disagree with and thinks that puts the company at risk for a legal violation. And finally, from Reuters, the question is being asked whether the Department of Justice will drop all charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams. His lawyers were meeting with the DOJ and Manhattan federal prosecutors to discuss dismissal of all corruption charges. I wonder what that tells you about Trump administration and corruption. At the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.